This isn't a marketing video at all, but instead a tour of the equipment that I use to create the videos during my Sable Syndicate session inside your practice. I think one reason my videos look so dialed in and why there's such a great representation of you and your practice to your patients is because I have a genuine passion for everything we do. The videos I create for you combine all my passions, first and foremost copywriting, and all the research that goes on into that. I made a whole separate video about that, and I hope you check it out. This is the most important part of the process and is underrated and overlooked. First and foremost, I enjoy the writing process. Next, I'm fascinated by what you do and all the different doctors that I work with and all the intricacies of the human body. The most complex machine and complex organism we know is us, the human body. It's pretty wild when you think about it. I also love technology and videography, filming the videos and editing them. What I create for you during my Sable Syndicate session combines all of that. And I think that's why it turns out so great. But more importantly, will have a real positive impact on all your patients. Now, in the spirit of that, I thought it'd be fun to give you a behind the scenes tour of the equipment that I use, why I picked each piece, and most importantly, the benefits each of those pieces give you. But first, as a side note, I'm doing in this video exactly what we'll do together in the videos that I create during my session in your practice. I'm taking you behind the scenes of all my equipment and sharing my world to you. This is no different than what we can do in the videos that we create for you to share with your patients. You're going to take them into your world, the waiting room, the operating room, the recovery room, product, service, equipment that you use. What's your favorite piece of equipment that you have? Physically showing them something is very unique. It demystifies the process. It lowers their anxiety because they're seeing what, for example, an operating room looks like. But most importantly of all, and this is something that no one talks about, people are really nosy. So when you take them behind the scenes, it's something that's really interesting. So everything that I do in this video and all my videos, like I've mentioned in all of them, I'm using it as an example of what we do in your videos. So the behind the scenes equipment, tours, things that I'm going to show off here, we can do it exactly in your practice. Those, in my opinion, are some of my favorite videos to create, and we're definitely going to be doing them during the session that we have in your practice. Before I get into my toolbox here, I want to talk about some things that are off camera right now. The first thing is I have a heavy-duty tripod here with a parabolic light. What this is just basically like a semicircle shaped type cover that you put on it. It casts a nice glow of light. It's not very harsh. It's really large. I'd say it's probably 3 feet, maybe 4 feet wide. The larger, the further back really lights the subject nicely. I'm not really doing the best video right now. What we do in your practice is going to be really great. This was kind of just a random last minute video that I wanted to put together to share this with you. But this really lights the subject, you, really well. The other thing that I have is I have another light here, a single stand, which is kind of like a monopod type stand with a light facing up at the ceiling with a cover on it. We always want as much light as possible, and we want indirect light. So this is a soft box, so what it's doing is it's not harsh light, it's soft, it's expanding. It's gonna light your face nicely. Unfortunately, I have glasses and I have a hat, which makes things a little bit difficult. I'm also filming this myself, which makes it as difficult as possible. Even if you have a hat or glasses, I can adjust lights, I can adjust angles and stuff when I'm behind the camera. That'll make things look way better than this. I'm also filming this on my phone, not my camera, more on that later. But that's where this lighting is real important. This light is up at the ceiling, it's creating indirect light. So if we look at why are videos outside, why do they look so great? Because you have the best light of all, you have the sun. It's not very harsh. It's maybe on an overcast day, that's kind of like a softbox type effect. That's what I'm doing with this light. So I have 2 lights here. I have no light in this room right now. Usually I don't do that light because you don't want something really coming down on you. So I have the softbox, I have this light. These are both RGB lights, which just means that you can run any color that you want. One thing I like doing with this light is not here, but sometimes in the operating room, I'll have you sitting in a chair, have maybe the table behind you, have one of these lights in the background, creates a glow. So for example, let's say your branding colors are green. I have a lot of green on me, green everywhere. I like green. I've done a lot of videos in the past where I have green in the background, just creating some unique ambient lighting, you know, just a different look. I like to play around with it. I like to do something unique. Whatever your colors are, whatever your branding is, I like that. I also like the darker backgrounds with you lit as the subject. There's a rule of thirds where we can offset you. I have captions and things over here. So there's a lot of things that I like to play around with when it comes to framing, when it comes to audio, stuff like that. And the thing that I wanted to kind of riff on this for is we got to get creative. I look at this as a production. There's a lot of different elements into it. There's the copywriting, there's all that stuff, but there's also a creative angle to it. I want your personality to show through in it, and I want it to be a reflection of you. So if it's lighting like this, there's a lot of different tools and things that I can do when we're scouting out locations inside your practice. More than anything, I want to add a lot of theater to everything that we do. Now, a lot of theater doesn't mean overproduce, gimmicks, special effects, stuff like that. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying I want it to look a certain way. I want it to look like a highly polished Hollywood type production. That's one of the references. It just came to me one day when I was filming, and I put that in some of my letters. That's what I want it to look. I want it to look unique. I want it to be like someone sitting with you face to face. I want that fourth wall to be broken down. I want it to have a very unique vibe to it, so when your patients are watching it, maybe it's someone who hasn't even met you, it's like they're sitting there with you one-on-one inside your practice. And that's why I like to play around with lighting, camera, audio, things like that. It's going to be something that's very minimally edited. There's no really editing except captions and things like that, but the angle and the look that we have for it is just, it's phenomenal. It's really dialed in. It's perfectly executed. So let's get in my toolbox right here. I have all this equipment that I bring. I have basically a full-on studio that I bring. I have a giant bag that I put all these tripods in. I got 1, 2, 3 carbon fiber tripods. I got this giant one here. I got extension cables. I got a lot of stuff. We're going to turn your office into a production studio. It's going to be awesome. It's a really cool experience. The other two things that I want to talk about that you can't really see is obviously I have the tripod. I'm filming this on my phone because I can't, show you my camera that I use if I was filming with it, so I'm not going to have that. But the mic that I use, and I'm going to get into it in here, is a DJI 2-pack mic. And I'm going to get into that later, but I have that connected into my phone right now. I have a lav mic right now, and then I have a little pocket piece right here. This just goes in your pocket right here. It can clip onto your belt, whatever it may be. Very low profile. It's one of these things that, again, I have it right here on my camera. It's one of these things, again, that you don't know what's there. It's just very natural. It's not this bulky thing over your head or something. I wanted it to be very relaxed, very, very comfortable for you to create these videos. So this is the pack here. The cool thing is, I'm not going to open it. I think it might interfere with the mic, but it has 2 mics in it. So one thing that I like doing is kind of more of the podcast type format, back and forth interviews. So I can, let's say you have you and someone else in your practice, maybe you and your patient, if they sign a consent form and they're okay being on camera, whatever it may be, the back and forth. So you're kind of having a conversation. I'm feeding both of you questions. You're kind of lobbing it back and forth. It's like a game of chess or a game of tennis. Just lob the one thing to them, they lob it back. These are really cool type conversational videos. They're becoming very popular right now. So that's why I picked this mic. Audio quality is phenomenal. The other thing is I have just a ton of cables here. Always got to have a lot of power. Got to have a lot of long cables. So if we're filming in the middle of like a big waiting room, I have everything. Long cables, short cables. Want to make sure that we have everything. The next thing that I have, and these 2 pockets here are for my 2 lights. These are, aluminum lights that fit in here. So this is my main kind of equipment trunk that I use, and then I have a big giant duffel, it's giant, it barely fits in my car, duffel bag with all these tripods and stuff. This right here is a Ronin gimbal. So I have, it's a multi-part piece. I take it apart when it's in my bag. I'm not going to put it together. I don't really use this a lot, to be honest. It's got a little tripod on it. I got it and I thought it was cool and I have used it. I kind of like more of the freehand stuff. I think it's more organic looking, but it is something if we're going to do some stabilized practice video, B-roll, stuff like this, you put the thing in there, you put the camera on here and it stabilizes it. That's something that, it works good. It works really good, but I kind of like more of the freehand type setup. The next thing that I have here is, if I remember how to put this back in here, the next thing that I have here is my camera. I love this camera. This is the best camera that I've ever used. This is a camera that is, I picked this specific camera for a number of reasons. The first thing is I didn't want to carry a lot of cameras. I didn't want I've already got as it is a whole car worth of stuff. I didn't want a ton of stuff. I wanted one really good camera. I wanted one really good lens. This is the Sony Cinema Line FX30. The thing that you'll notice about this camera is it doesn't have a viewfinder. So this is for video only. So I love this camera. It's, you can see it's pretty substantial. It's got a ton of, not going to get into all the technical details of it, but it's a pretty serious piece. The cool thing about this is this lens, let me just talk about the camera real quick. So I run it just like this. This is my clip for my tripod. I don't have a big cage or anything on it. If we're going to film like this, kind of freehand, I like that. I like this. I like it really low profile. So I was filming a video earlier and they were doing some treatment, and it was nice having just this little thing that I could keep kind of tight to my chest, or I could keep over here. I like the low profile because I don't want to take up a ton of space. A lot of times you have all this gear, all this stuff. You have I'm sure you've seen the vests and stuff. It's overkill. It's just way unnecessary. I don't want to be like a burden. You're still working and you're still helping people. So anytime we're doing that type of stuff, B-roll, things like that, that's why I picked this particular camera with nothing on it, basically naked. Cool thing about this thing is it's got this pop-out lens. So I was really low today. I had the screen here like that. I could do it like this. I could do it like I'm kind of short, so I had it up like this, and I had the screen like this. I was looking over someone's shoulder while they were doing treatment. I had that like that, so that's why I like that lens, or the screen, excuse me, the pop-out. I don't know why I keep calling it a lens, but the screen pop-out, phenomenal camera. So Sony Cinema-Line FX30 is the body. The lens is a Sigma 1850 millimeter lens. I like this lens just because it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It's really great for this type of video, landscape. I can, dial it in for some up-close shots. It's great like this if we're going to be filming Reels, Instagram stuff. Kind of pocket it like that, hold it like this. I can get that nice blurred background, that really nice depth of field. Like my tripod is probably a third of the way from this wall, then there's 2/3 more of the room. If you were the subject and I was filming you right now like this, you're gonna get that real nice glow. You do that in your waiting room, you do that in your office, you do that in the operating room, wherever we film these videos, it really is just a really killer, really badass look. So that's the camera that I use. I also have the mic, the hub that I put the mic on here, plug it in. The other cool thing is it's got power, so we never worry about dead batteries, and that's it. Love this camera. This to me is the best camera that I've ever used, and it's awesome. Up in here I've got just more power. I've got backup batteries. I don't really need backup batteries because I just keep the camera plugged in, which is cool. Extension cables, power brick. I've got some more cables here, some more tripod mounts. I've got more mics here. The mic pack's got a little magnet on it. It keeps it getting attached to the table right here, so we can clip it on here too, which is cool. But I got multiple lav mics, so if we're gonna do interviews, you put it here. This is called a broadcast loop. You can't really see it, but when they loop it around, that's kind of what you see on TV. I've got some extension cables here, some more stuff. So I've got everything that I need in here. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of equipment, but the reason that I run it like this is I want to make sure that we have everything. So we're doing short form, whether we're doing long form, whether we're doing darker, we're doing lighter, we're doing a tight space, whether we're doing a wide open space. I want to have everything covered. Really good lighting, which is crazy enough. In the medical industry, there's great lighting to begin with because, obviously if you're operating on someone, you got to see it. It's kind of harsh though, that downward light, but we can use that. But these are the lights that I always bring. This camera, so the trio that we look at is with lighting, audio, camera. Lighting, audio, camera, this is it. This is, to me, within reason, this is the best setup that I've had, and I love it. I think it's phenomenal, and you're just going to be blown away by how great the picture quality is, how great the audio quality is. It's really going to look professional quality because that's the standard that I have, because I know that's the standard that you have inside your practice. Hope you found this video informative. I probably did this more for me than for you, but wanted to give you a behind the scenes tour of all my equipment. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I love technology, I love gadgets. I've spent a lot of trial and error building out this particular kit, and for me, the goals that I do, obviously traveling, meeting lots of different doctors, multiple states, all that type of stuff, this is the best kit that I found. You're going to absolutely love the results. Like I mentioned in a couple other pieces of content, Hollywood level results, the framing, the audio, the lighting, everything is just really dialed in and really badass. I think you'll love it, but really valuable to you, to your practice, but most importantly of all, your patients. And that's always what I focus on in all of this, is just the focus of the end result is how we can help patients and how we can document your expertise using all this equipment. But give me a call or text me directly, 310-774-7311. Would like to start a conversation with you, kind of see what you're working on now, what's been working, what hasn't worked. I have a bunch of ideas that if you're seeing this, most likely you have gotten a letter from me. That letter's specific to you. And want to go over that in more detail. But look forward to talking with you. Look forward to having a session inside your practice, and I think you'll be blown away with the results. And I'm going to get back to playing around with my gadgets. But thanks for watching.